Beautiful work, beautifully told. That's the programme for this evening. You can catch up on any of our stories from the week on iView. Thank you very much for your company. See you next week. Good night.
Tonight, the US torpedoes an Iranian warship as Iran launches more strikes at Gulf states. Two Australian Air Force planes deployed to the Middle East as a contingency plan to get Australians home. Monash IVF to pay financial settlement to families caught up in major embryo bungles. And drivers stranded by floodwaters receive an unexpected welfare check from the sky. Good evening, Yvonne Yong with ABC News, coming to you from the land of the Wurundjeri people. Australian military assets have been deployed to the Middle East as part of contingency plans to help bring Australians home. War in the region is widening sharply. 10 countries are now under attack from the Iranian regime. Iran continues to carry out strikes on multiple neighbours, insisting it's aiming at US military targets. NATO defences shot down a ballistic missile believed to be launched in Turkish territory. Time to take a look at what's coming up on the business. Here's Alicia Berry.
Tonight, global markets bounce back as investors buy the dip, putting war worries to the side for now. And two former Star executives found guilty of breaching their duties in a Chinese money laundering case. All this and more at 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time.
Thousands of delegates from across China have gathered in the capital for the National People's Congress. Beijing has made a rare acknowledgement of economic headwinds, setting its lowest growth target in more than 3 decades. The Matildas are up 1-0 over Iran in the first half of their second Asian Cup group match on the Gold Coast. Amy Sayer opened the scoring in the 9th minute before a second shot from Caitlin Ford found the back of the net but was ruled offside. Here are the top stories on ABC News. The war in the Middle East is widening sharply, with 10 countries now under attack from the Iranian regime. Israel and the US have been pounding Tehran as parts of Lebanon, including Beirut. NATO defences shot down a ballistic missile believed to be launched at Turkish territory, while an American submarine has sunk an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka. More Australians are due to arrive back home tonight after a deal was struck between Gulf states and Iran to open safe airspace over the Middle East and clear the backlog of stranded passengers. Australian consular crisis teams have been deployed and military planes are on standby in the region to support further repatriations after the first commercial flight landed in Sydney last night. Monash IVF has agreed to pay out families involved in 2 major embryo bungles at its Brisbane and Melbourne clinics. One patient was wrongly implanted with another woman's embryo, and another was transferred her own embryo instead of her partner's. The fertility giant says it deeply regrets the 2 events and has taken steps to strengthen its culture and systems. And major flooding across South Australia's north has given the state's emergency service the chance to trial drone technology to warn drivers of danger. Using drones fitted with speakers to communicate with motorists, the SES says it's an unusual but effective technique which can save lives. Australians are still prepared to pay more for their children's education despite the cost of living crunch. Parents are continuing to abandon public schools for private enrolments, with financial surveys showing education is one of the last costs parents will skimp on. Let's check on tomorrow's weather around the country now. Grey skies in Melbourne, Canberra rising to 30 degrees, a possible shower in Sydney, rain in Brisbane, strong falls in Darwin, another hot day in Perth, partly cloudy in Adelaide and cool conditions in Hobart. That's the latest from ABC News. Do stay with us. The business is up next, followed by The World with me, Yvonne Yong. I'll see you then. Good evening. It's Thursday, the 5th of March. Here are our top stories. More countries pulled into the Iran conflict as NATO air defences intercept a missile fired towards Turkey. Nepal votes in its first general election since its government was ousted in violent September protests. Canada's Prime Minister addresses Australian Parliament, and China admits there could be economic troubles ahead as Beijing holds the National People's Congress. You're watching The World. Hello there, I'm Yvonne Yong. War in the Middle East is widening tonight. About an hour ago, Azerbaijan said 2 people had been injured by Iranian drones fired at its territory. NATO defences shot down a ballistic missile believed to be launched at Turkish territory. Israel and the US have been pounding Tehran and parts of Lebanon, including Beirut, while an American submarine has sunk an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka. Six months on from a student-led uprising that toppled the Nepalese government, millions of people have now cast their vote in a crucial parliamentary election. Around 800,000 new voters have been added to the electoral roll, including many young people who will be voting for the first time. You're watching The World. The top stories we're following tonight. More countries pulled into the Iran conflict as NATO air defences intercept a missile fired towards Turkey. Nepal votes in its first general election since its government was ousted in violent September protests. And Canada's Prime Minister addresses the Australian Parliament. Well, let's return to the situation in the Middle East. Israel has told residents to leave a large swathe of southern Lebanon as it expands its assault on Hezbollah. Tens of thousands of Lebanese people have already been displaced in the past few days. Formula One teams have officially clocked in for the first race of the 2026 season, and fans have descended on Albert Park to be a part of it. The grid is bracing for a raft of rule changes, with teams scrambling to get familiar with their new cars. Before we go, let's recap our top stories. More countries pulled into the Iran conflict. Azerbaijan accusing Iran of firing 2 drones into its territory, injuring 2 people. Earlier, an Iranian warship was sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka, and NATO air defences intercepted a missile fired towards Turkey. Nepal votes in its first general election since its government was ousted in violent September protests, and Canada's Prime Minister addresses Australia's Parliament. And that is your World for tonight. You can always watch the show on iView, and more world news and interviews can be found at the ABC's YouTube channel. I'm Yvonne Yong. Bye for now. Tonight, the US launches a deadly strike at sea as an Iranian missile is intercepted in NATO territory. Two Australian Air Force planes deployed to the Middle East as a contingency plan to get Australians home. Monash IVF to pay financial settlement to families caught up in major embryo bungles, and drivers stranded by floodwaters receive an unexpected welfare check from the sky. Good evening, Yvonne Yong with ABC News. Australian military assets have been deployed to the Middle East as part of contingency plans to help bring Australians home. Iran continues to carry out strikes on multiple neighbours, insisting it's aiming at US military targets. NATO defences shot down a ballistic missile believed to be launched at Turkish territory. Fertility giant Monash IVF has reached secret financial settlements with families involved in 2 major embryo mix-ups. The company became aware in February last year that a Brisbane woman had unknowingly given birth to a baby she had no genetic ties to after receiving the wrong embryo. The Matildas have booked their spot in the knockout stages of the Women's Asian Cup with a comfortable 4-0 win over Iran on the Gold Coast. Alana Kennedy starred in wet conditions with 2 goals as several stars got important minutes under their belts. Let's check on tomorrow's weather now. Grey skies in Melbourne, Canberra raising to 30 degrees, a possible shower in Sydney, rain in Brisbane, strong falls in Darwin, another hot day in Perth, partly cloudy in Adelaide and cool conditions in Hobart. That's the latest from ABC News. Do stay with us. I'm Yvonne Yong. Have a good evening.
Does it feel like our lives